Hi, it's Gemma Whitehouse from Home-Start Surrey, and I'm here today with Stephanie Waight from Home-Start Surrey Heath.
Hi Gemma, nice to see you.
Nice to see you in the flesh.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. Yeah, really excited to be here. And I live locally and I've never actually been in these premises.
And am I right in thinking it was you who first told me about?
It was. So
Buzzpodcasts?
I got an email and it was inviting somebody in the following day, and I thought, I can't do it. My diary was full, so I sent it to you, and luckily you got in touch and have started the ball rolling, which is fantastic.
So I owe you a big thank you. I remember getting that email and I had a look at it and I thought, wow, this sounds amazing. And it was on a Tuesday, I remember, because I looked at the diary and I saw there was a couple of spaces for the next day. So I thought, hey, I'll book myself in. I turned up and then I saw this amazing setup.
I know, it's great,
Isn't it cool?
It is, and
very
you're the
cool.
perfect person to do something like
Ah, thanks. Yeah, I was like, I don't mind. I'll happily.
this. Yeah,
happily
so thank
go
you
along.
for that.
Yeah,
Really grateful.
So tell me about how you first came to work for Home-Start Surrey Heath.
Okay, well, before children, I was in recruitment and HR. And then I had my two sons who are now 26 and 21. And I didn't want to go back into the corporate world. I just thought, what can I do? And I saw an advert for Home-Start Surrey Heath. And that was nearly 17 years ago. And I've been there ever since. I'm now the manager.
Wow.
Huge changes, obviously, in the 16 years. But I love it. And I've been there ever since.
So how did you start out? Were you a manager to begin with?
No,
or?
I started off in the office.
Ah.
Yeah, and I just worked my way through and eventually became the manager. And I remember coming along for my interview and I was so naive because coming from a business world. And I remember saying so stupidly, they're volunteers and they just don't get paid, because I didn't know there was this whole world of volunteering out there. It was completely new to me. And now I can see that the world can't exist without volunteers, and there's a lot of work being done by volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, volunteering goes way back, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does.
Exactly.
You know, building barns.
Yeah.
You can get the whole village along to build a barn.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the roof on.
Precisely. But I know with our volunteers, we couldn't do what we do without our volunteers. So my role is predominantly overseeing the management of the charity, making sure we have enough funding, overseeing the staff. And it's the volunteers who do all the work, who go and visit the families each week. And then we've got a load of volunteers that run our groups, and we've got a very active fundraising committee as well. We're actually the oldest scheme in Surrey.
Is that right?
Yeah, 39 years we've been around.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think we're the smallest. We are a small team, and historically it's always been a smaller number than the other areas. I don't know why that is, but yeah.
Still doing very important work.
Still doing really important work, and the issues faced by families are still exactly the same as they've always been, if not more so. Families struggling for whatever reason, when you think of your own families, your extended family, your friends, all the issues that families go through.
It's not easy being a parent.
It's not easy being a parent. And I think for us, our biggest increase is probably mental health and children with special educational needs and disabilities. Since I've joined, they're the two main areas we've seen a huge increase in.
Yeah, and Home-Start do such an important role to fill a gap where, otherwise they wouldn't necessarily be getting that extra help, especially at home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how I see it is that you've got, when I had my children, I had plenty of friends and family around about to support me. And then you've got those families where there's more intensive support, maybe from children's services, and we're sort of fit in the middle, where people just need that little bit of extra support, who might not have their friends or family around about, and who just need somebody, a friendly face, who's another parent, who's not going in there to judge them, and who can just say, look, how can I help? What can I do? Our volunteers, like the families that we support, all sorts of different backgrounds, all sorts of different circumstances, and then we match the volunteer and the family very carefully, based on their skills. Well, you all know this, being a volunteer yourself.
So I'm on the other side because I've been a volunteer since 2019.
Right.
So with all the matching, that's something that I don't really have any idea about. So tell me more about how you match a volunteer to a family.
Okay, so that will be part of the recruitment process. So we'll have an interview, or a very informal chat. It's not an interview really, with the potential volunteer. And we get an idea of, their background. And then through the preparation course, we get to know you and your skills, your strengths. And it can be even things, are you allergic to dogs? Do you mind if somebody's smoking in the house? And I mean, most people don't, but it's down to practicalities, your availability, and we look at things like that. And then somebody who has a good skill set with mental health or special educational needs. We're quite lucky that we've got a couple of volunteers who are ex-teachers. So they're really good.
I bet they're like gold dust.
Yeah, exactly. So we look at, and then some people say, well, I haven't really done anything, but you've been a parent or a carer, and you know what it's like to have no sleep for 6 months, and you know what it's like when they don't eat and you don't know what to do when they're crying, or so that's what we want is volunteers, is have that empathy, that understanding of what it's like to be a parent, because you don't know until you've had your own. I had no idea when I had mine. I had no idea what to expect. It was all focused on the birth, and nothing prepared you for what comes afterwards.
It's so true. They all talk about the birth.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Yeah, exactly. And luckily I had my mum and my antenatal friends to help me. I don't know what I have done. Otherwise, I didn't even know that. Oh yeah, you can change your baby's clothes. I just left her in a sleep suit for weeks, and they said no, you can put them in proper clothes. So naive and ridiculous, but so that was how I came to Home-Start.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how are you doing at the moment for volunteers?
We are struggling for volunteers at the moment. We're probably at our all-time low.
And is that since COVID?
Yeah. And I think the cost of living crisis, there's not many people now, that can afford to volunteer. And they have to go back to work when their kids go to school or something. And then grandparents are looking after their own children for longer. That's what we would love. It's a whole set of new volunteers, ideally retired, who can bring in lots of experience, or taking a break from work, and that have been through those parenting challenges, and that can just come and volunteer for us, because we are struggling at the moment for volunteers.
Yeah, I think that's that is a problem across the whole of Surrey.
It is
now.
Yeah.
When I first started, there was 18 people on my prep course.
Right. Wow.
And now people are struggling to maybe get 5 or 6 people.
I know. We've actually had to run a course, I think, with 3 volunteers, because we're just, that volunteer pool isn't available like it used to be. Yeah,
and so what we're really hoping is that by spreading the word about Home-Start, because not everyone knows about us. They do say we are the best kept secret, because I think back in the day it was a lot more hush about having Home-Start.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays everyone's so much more open to talk about mental health issues, etc. That it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
And in fact, a lot of the parents are very happy to spread the word that they're having the help.
Yeah, exactly.
And the more people who know about us, then surely that means that we'll be able to get more volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the cuts in the NHS, for mental health, for children with special educational needs, services like us are needed now more than ever to fill those gaps where people are waiting for the professional support. And although our volunteers aren't professionals as such, they are all parents, and they understand and can signpost and can support families through different challenges. And, our volunteers, the difference they can make. I see it when I'm doing the reporting and the outcomes. I can see the difference our volunteers can make for families. So I think anybody that's got a couple of hours each week to spare, we've got a course starting in September, and we'd love to have as many new volunteers, as we can, really.
Yes, Definitely. If people maybe aren't going to be able to do the September one, then will you be running another one?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, our Home Starters trial the new hybrid course, so it's party learning and then part face to face, which has gone down really well. So we're trying to keep those more regularly.
So it makes it more accessible to people, because even if you have a part-time job, you know, I work part-time and I still volunteer, and I find that actually, if you know that, say, every Monday afternoon that's when you're going to do your Home Start volunteering, I think it actually makes you more organised, because you think, well, I have to get other stuff done before then or after then.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of companies now have a social responsibility policy, so they're encouraging their employees to volunteer and take time out to volunteer. You know, and that would be fantastic if people can approach their employers and say, look, I really want to volunteer, local families in my local community. Can I take some time off to do a little bit of training, and then, you know, a morning out each week or an afternoon, you know? And I think some employers are quite keen.
Yeah, because it's all about the flexible working now.
It is,
isn't it?
Exactly.
And also what I think people must understand is that although you're giving up your time to volunteer, it's a two-way street. You do get something back off it as well.
Definitely.
I find it really rewarding.
Yeah, and I think you build really good friendships with the other volunteers. We offer ongoing training and catch-ups with volunteers, but a third of our volunteers go on to work. So they, you know, have taken a break, had their children. They will go through our training, and then we offer mental health, domestic violence, a whole range of subjects, you know, in ongoing training. And we've had people go on to become outreach workers at family centres.
Yeah, so it could actually lead to a whole new career.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and people say, look, I've had my children, I don't know what to do. And it's a good step.
I think it's a fantastic thing for those mums that have perhaps given up their career to have their family. Yeah. They want to get it back out to work. They're not sure what on earth they want to do. This is a great opportunity,
definitely,
to try a different career path.
It is. And I think, I mean, we invest a lot of time recruiting and training our volunteers. So we do ask for, you know, about a year's commitment, ideally a lot longer. But as I say, you know, if you're looking for a career in social work or something like that, it's a good stepping stone to that.
It's a great one to have on the CV. Yeah, for sure.
It is definitely. And I'm always, for volunteers that have gone on to work, I've had to provide references, and, you know, they've used us to gain employment, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And have you had some volunteers that have been with you for a long time? Yes. What's the longest, do you know?
The longest currently, I think, is about 18 years.
That's amazing.
Yes, yeah. And I think a lot around the sort of 5 to 6 years.
And in that time, they would have helped countless families.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, one of our volunteers, Christine, for example, she's been with us a long time. She's just won a volunteering award for locally, because the number of families she's helped. She helps at our pram walk and talk on a Thursday. We've got a Best Start in Life group on a Tuesday. She does our fundraising committee. She does all sorts. So
wow, she sounds like a very special person.
She's a very special person. But, you know, a lot of our volunteers they're all lovely, and it's all down to each volunteer how much time they can afford.
Yes.
You know, some can only do an hour or two each week, and others have that flexibility to be able to offer us more and to do different things. So.
And is there a way of volunteering, not as a visiting families, but in other ways to help the charity?
I mean, at the moment, we're desperate for people to join our fundraising committee.
I see.
This year, our committee, they've raised £5,000 since January, which is fantastic, with helping get raffle prizes, organise events. We do quiz nights, paint and sip, afternoon tea. So anybody with really good networking contacts like that would be great. And we have our 2 groups where, you know, there's volunteer opportunities there as well.
Fantastic. And so can they go on to the actual website for Home-Start Surrey Heath and find these?
Yeah, you'll see we've got a whole volunteering page, and of course trustees, they're all volunteers, and they're responsible for governance of the charity. So, somebody with a corporate background with experience in equality and diversity, safeguarding, any kind of business background would be fantastic as well. Especially health visiting and education.
Okay, fantastic. So we can put a link to that in the notes for people.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant. And was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. Just we're desperate for volunteers. For families, our support makes such a difference. And our 2 groups, they're really well run and beneficial. Check out our pram walk and talk on a Thursday and our Best Start in Life group on a Tuesday.
And are they open groups?
So the pram walk is obviously for new mums.
Right.
Best Start in Life is an open group.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have, coming along to that, we have Bernardo's Family Centre every other week, and we have a child and health practitioner comes along and can weigh, ask any questions.
Oh, fantastic.
And we have different professionals like the CAB, Health Watch, all sorts of different people, services come along to that.
CAB, Citizens Advice Bureau.
Yeah.
Right.
So they come along, any questions parents have. So it's
amazing.
A really good group.
Fantastic. Well, it's been lovely to meet with you today.
And you, Gemma.
Thank you so much for coming along.
Thanks very much.
And I hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Dee Shepherd from SMJ Media Group. If you like what we do and if you enjoyed what you heard today, then please do continue to support us. Support us in our conversations, in our events, in our communication, and how we publish and how we promote all local businesses. So, how do you do that? Well, you can buy me a coffee. Where? buymeacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group.